In today's class, we'll see about psoriasis and the questions asked from it. The first question is, what is the gene which is associated with psoriasis? First one is, they are asking about the genes. So you should know which gene is associated with psoriasis, what are all the genetic associations. Here the answer is CARD14 gene. You should also know the other genetic associations with psoriasis. The genes associated with psoriasis are SORS1, which is present in chromosome 6, and SORS2, which encodes this CARD14. SORS2 gene is present in chromosome 17. So next question is, you have to answer true or false of all these statements. Beta blocker is associated with causation of psoriasis. So you should know the drug which causes psoriasis. We'll see it later. Beta blocker is associated with psoriasis. So first one, this is a true statement. Next one, inverse psoriasis affects extensor aspects and occurs as a scaly plaque. So in this sentence, what you can see here is inverse psoriasis. So inverse psoriasis is nothing but psoriasis usually occurs on the extensor aspects of limbs. But in inverse psoriasis, it affects the flexural areas. In flexural areas, usually it will be moist and it will be usually exposed to more friction, and it will be macerated, it will be having macerated lesion, not as it won't have scales. So this is a wrong statement. Inverse psoriasis affects flexor aspects of the body, and it will not be occurring like a scaly plaque, like a normal extensor surface psoriasis. So this is a false statement. Second one. Third one, nail plate pitching is the most common finding of nail psoriasis. True. This is the most common finding. And guttate psoriasis responds to anti-streptococcal antibiotics. Usually, there are more trigger factors. There are many trigger factors for psoriasis, and infection is supposed to be one of the trigger factor which triggers psoriasis, and especially this association is very strong in case of guttate type of psoriasis. So, in case of guttate psoriasis, if we give anti-streptococcal antibiotics, the patient will respond to the psoriasis and the lesion will clear. This only we are coming to say in this question, the statement. So this is also a true statement. Next question, Grattage test. This is a direct question. Grattage test is done in which condition? So you should know what is Grattage test, and you should know in which condition it is done. It is done in psoriasis. I'll briefly explain you what are all the steps you have to do in case of Grattage test. Grattage test is done in a psoriatic plaque, scaly plaque. What you have to do is, you have to take a glass slide, clear glass slide, and scrape off the lesion. The scales will come like a candle wax like appearance. So this appearance is called as candle wax appearance. And second step is, after scraping the scales, what you can see there after the scales came out, what you can see there is a membrane that is called as Berkeley's membrane, translucent membrane. So this is a step 2 of Grattage test. And step 3 is, after rupturing if you continue to scratch it off, after rupturing the Berkeley's membrane, what you can see in case of in a psoriatic plaque is, you will see multiple pinpoint bleeding from the lesion. So this pinpoint bleeding is due to dermal capillary thinning. So this multiple pinpoint bleeding is called as Auspitz sign. These are the 3 steps of Grattage test, and the third step is called as Auspitz sign. First step is called as candle wax appearance, and in the second step, the name of the membrane, what you can see in case of Grattage test, is called as Berkeley's membrane. So this is all about Grattage test. Next, we'll see important points related to psoriasis. Psoriasis, it is an immune-mediated disorder, autoimmune disorder, and the genetic association with this is HLA-CW6 and SORS1 gene, as I told earlier. It is associated with type 1 psoriasis, and the SORS2 gene is associated with type 2 psoriasis, and other genetic association are CARD14 type of psoriasis. And one more point I want to add here is, lifetime risk of psoriasis, how much percentage of a person can get psoriasis in his own life is 4% if neither of the parents had psoriasis, and 28% if one parent had psoriasis, and 65% risk is there he will get psoriasis if both parent has psoriasis. So this you should remember 4, 28 and 65. If 4 is the risk if nobody had father and mother, nobody had psoriasis, and 28% if one person had psoriasis, and 65% if both of the parent had psoriasis. Next, we'll see about trigger factors for psoriasis. As I told earlier, infections are one of the most common trigger factors for psoriasis, and mostly the infection which is commonly associated with causation of the psoriasis is streptococci and staphylococci, and the most strong association is given in case of guttate psoriasis. That's why this anti-streptococcal antibiotics we can give in case of guttate psoriasis, which will respond also to antibiotics. Next, other trigger factors are sudden withdrawal of systemic steroids. If we give systemic steroids to psoriasis patient and if we suddenly withdraw it, the withdrawal reaction will lead to flare-up of psoriasis, and trauma can also be a trigger factor for psoriasis, and cutaneous trauma, anywhere we are inducing trauma over the skin, it will cause psoriatic lesion over that place. That is called as Koebner's phenomena, which will classically occur in case of psoriasis. And next is drugs. The drugs, most commonly drugs which are associated with psoriasis are beta blockers, NSAIDs, chloroquine, and lithium. These are all the drugs which are associated with psoriasis. Alcohol and smoking are the main one of the trigger factors which is also associated with psoriasis. Other trigger factors are pregnancy. Usually in pregnancy, 60% of people will have betterment in psoriasis, they will clear out, and 40% will have worsening. And winter season is a main exacerbating factor, and emotional stress is also a main exacerbating factor and trigger factor for psoriasis. Next, we'll see about types of psoriasis. First type is chronic plaque psoriasis. This is the most common type. In chronic plaque psoriasis, what you can see as a clinical lesion is a red scaly plaque, which will be present all over the body. Depending upon the body surface area involvement, it can vary from 1% also, and it can extend to 100% also. There's more than 90% body involvement. If the patient is having more than 90% body involvement in case of chronic plaque psoriasis, then it progresses to erythrodermic psoriasis. The more than 90% of body involvement is there, then it is called as erythrodermic psoriasis. Then scaly plaques will be there, and as I told earlier, mainly this psoriatic plaque will occur only on the extensor aspect of limbs is the most common place. Apart from that, sacral area and nails, scalp, these are all the common places, most common sites for psoriasis. And this scaly plaques will have silvery white fish-like scales, and the name of the scales are called as micaceous scales. And usually, what is the first site of involvement in case of psoriasis is scalp. Yesterday, we discussed what is the first site of involvement in case of pemphigus vulgaris. Oral mucosal lesion can be the initial presentation. Like that, scalp involvement can be the initial presentation in psoriasis. So this is a typical psoriatic plaque, red scaly plaque with silvery white fish-like scales over the extensor aspect of the limbs. Next type is flexural psoriasis. Flexural psoriasis involves flexures mainly present as non-scaly plaques as a macerated skin lesion. Next type is guttate psoriasis. Guttate, the word guttate means raindrop like So the lesion patient also will have raindrop like lesion. Mainly over the trunk it will be there, and it is associated with streptococcal infection, and it occurs mainly in children. So we have to give a course of antibiotic first before starting any definitive therapy for psoriasis, so that you can the lesion will clear out only with antibiotics. So the patient need not add any further treatment, psoriasis specific treatment for these patients. This is a typical picture of guttate psoriasis. What you can see here is a multiple small red scaly plaque, which is having an appearance of raindrop like appearance. Other type of psoriasis is sebopsoriasis. As the name indicates, the seborrheic region will be involved, and the scaly plaques will be mainly involved in the seborrheic regions, scalp, face, head and neck areas will be involved, and it won't be associated with alopecia or any other hair loss or any abnormalities. And auspich sign we had seen earlier, when the scales of the psoriasis is removed, a membrane is seen. So that's called as Berkeley's membrane. On removal of that membrane, what you can see there is pinpoint bleeding, and due to elongated blood vessels, dermal capillary vessel thinning, suprapapillary thinning of epidermis, you will see pinpoint bleeding. Here you can see, although the picture is not clear, you can see multiple dotted vessels with pinpoint bleeding. This is positive auspich sign. Next is a patient with psoriasis was started on systemic steroids, and patient stopped the treatment on his own. So after starting the treatment, the patient started developing multiple pustular lesions with lake of pus. What could be the cause? So as I told earlier, patient on systemic steroids, if you start a psoriasis patient on systemic steroids, and if you stop it abruptly, the patient will be having a flare of psoriasis. And here in this question, the key word is pustular flare, pustules. So it is a pustular psoriasis. Pustular psoriasis mainly occurs in this clinical scenario only, in withdrawal of systemic steroids, although there are other trigger factors which we'll be seeing now. So this is pustular psoriasis. We'll see about a few points about pustular psoriasis. Pustular psoriasis often occurs due to sudden withdrawal of topical steroids or systemic steroids also. Classification, you can classify this pustular psoriasis into generalized type and localized type. So in generalized type, clinical variants are there. Acute generalized pustular psoriasis, which is called as von Jungus reaction, and subacute annular and succinate pustular psoriasis. And other forms in case of generalized type is acute generalized pustular psoriasis of pregnancy, which is also called as impetigo herpetiformis. Impetigo herpetiformis has nothing to do with impetigo. It is acute generalized pustular psoriasis of pregnancy. This point you should know. This is the place where systemic steroids is the treatment of choice in case of psoriasis. In all other places, you should not use systemic steroids. And other type of generalized psoriasis is infantile and juvenile generalized pustular psoriasis. So these are the four generalized variants of pustular psoriasis: acute generalized pustular psoriasis, subacute annular pustular psoriasis, acute generalized pustular psoriasis of pregnancy, and infantile and juvenile pustular psoriasis. Localized pustular psoriasis can be divided into palmoplantar pustulosis, in which the pustules will be present only in the palmar surface of the over the palms and soles, and acrodermatitis continua of halopule. This is also a type of localized pustular psoriasis. In this, single finger will be involved, and it will have multiple pustules, and it will have deeper involvement of bone, nail, and it will have soft tissue involvement compared to this palmoplantar pustulosis. Pustular psoriasis in pregnancy, as I told earlier, it is also called as impetigo herpetiformis, and the drug of choice is systemic steroids. Only in this place in psoriasis, you use systemic steroids as the drug of choice. In other places, you should not use. So this is the picture of pustular psoriasis. All these pustules has been ruptured, and they form a despermating plaque-like, scaly plaque-like lesion. Next question is, below are the types of psoriatic arthritis except. So you should know the type of psoriatic arthritis, what is the classification, and how a patient of psoriatic arthritis can present with multiple clinical findings, and you should know how he presents. Arthritis mutulans, arthritis affecting MCP joint, asymmetric oligoarthritis, and sacroiliitis. So arthritis mutulans is a type of psoriatic arthritis only. Asymmetric oligoarthritis is also a type of psoriatic arthritis. It's the most common type. Sacroiliitis is also a type of psoriatic arthritis. Arthritis affecting MCP joint, this is not a type of psoriatic arthritis. Usually psoriatic arthritis affecting the small joints will have distal interphalangeal joint involvement, DIP joint involvement, not MCP joint involvement. MCP joint involvement will be seen in case of rheumatoid arthritis only. So this is the wrong answer. So you should know psoriatic arthritis classification. Moles and Wright classification for psoriasis. The patient will have 5 different clinical findings: peripheral, mono or asymmetrical oligoarthritis, First one, this is the most common clinical presentation. Symmetric polyarthritis, more than 3 joints involvement will be there. Arthritis mutulans, all the joints will be involved, leading to destruction and degeneration in a very rapid manner. Arthritis with DIP joint involvement and ankylosing spondylitis like presentation also the patient might be having. And we have a diagnostic criteria for diagnosing psoriatic arthritis in a patient of psoriasis. They have a lot of criteria. History of psoriasis. If the patient is having current history of psoriasis, personal history of psoriasis in a first degree relative. For current history, you give 2 points, and for other things, you give 1 point. And for typical nail psoriatic involvement, you give 1 point, and a negative rheumatoid factor, which rules out rheumatoid arthritis, you give 1 point, and dactylitis. If the patient is having current history of dactylitis or past history of dactylitis, you give 1 point each. And if you see any radiological finding, juxta-articular new bond formation, we give 1 point. So if among the 7 points, if more than 4 is fulfilled, then the patient is said to have psoriatic arthritis here and should be started on treatment. So this is criteria used to diagnose psoriatic arthritis. The name of the criteria is Casper's criteria, and you should know also the sensitivity and specificity of this criteria. Sensitivity is around 93% and specificity is around 99%. This is a picture showing mutilating destruction of joints due to psoriatic arthritis. There is degeneration and swelling. This typical appearance of this digits is called as sausage digits. So this is arthritis mutulans. Next question is, what is the drug preferred for treating psoriasis? What is the drug of choice? Usually, you should know it. Methotrexate is the drug of choice for psoriasis. We'll discuss in brief about treatment of psoriasis. If the patient is having skin lesion, actually the treatment depends upon the body surface area involvement. If he is having skin lesion of less than 10% body surface area involvement, first you have to start with topical treatment only. Topical treatment, in topical treatment, what you can give is topical corticosteroid. With or without vitamin D analogs, you can give. Topical potent corticosteroids you have to give. This is the first line treatment for mild psoriasis. Vitamin D analogs, you have calcipotriol ointment and calcitriol ointment that you can give. Other 2 regimens used for treating this mild psoriasis is Brokerman regimen, which is nothing but coal tar applying the coal tar on the patient and exposing the patient to UVB. This is called as Brokerman's regimen. This also they can ask as a direct MCQ. And if you add dithranol also along with this coal tar plus dithranol and exposing the patient to UVB, then it is called as Ingram's regimen. So these 2 regimens you should remember. This is very important. And apart from that, topical salicylic acid. Salicylic acid is a keratolytic agent, which is used in percentage of 3% and 6%. So this is also used in the treatment of mild psoriasis. Other treatment in case of mild psoriasis is phototherapy. If the patient is having generalized body surface area involvement and here and there lesion, but whole body is involved, then you can expose the patient to phototherapy, UVA and UVB therapy. This also patient will respond well to phototherapy also. And you have severe psoriasis. If the body surface area is more than 10%, then the patient is categorized as severe psoriasis, and the first line management for treating a severe psoriasis is methotrexate. And apart from that, methotrexate is a dihydrofolate reductase inhibitor, and it responds very well to methotrexate, and psoriatic arthritis also responds very well to methotrexate. And apart from that, other agents which are used in case of treating psoriasis is fumaric acid esters. Acetretin can be used mainly in case of pustular psoriasis. You can use acetretin. And apart from that, cyclosporin in case of erythrodermic psoriasis. This is a drug of choice in case of erythrodermic psoriasis. Newer drugs, you should know all these biologicals. We'll discuss about biologicals in drugs class. Apremilast, which is a phosphodiesterase 4 inhibitor, is also a new drug launched for treating psoriasis. And other biologicals mainly used in case of psoriasis, adalimumab, secukinumab, and ustekinumab. These 3 are available in India, and these are the most commonly used drugs. Next question is, what is the earliest histopathological finding in case of psoriasis? You should know all the histopathological finding in case of psoriasis, and the earliest is capillary dilatation only. All other findings also are seen in case of psoriasis. The histopathological findings seen in psoriasis is what you can see here is pustules in the stratum malpighian layer. So this pustules is called as spongiform pustules of Goodhart. and elongated rete ridge will be there, and pustules can also be seen in the stratum corneum layer, that is called as Munro microabscess, and parakeratosis will be there. And here you can see in the stratum corneum layer, pustules with neutrophils are there. So these are the common findings in case of biopsy of psoriasis vulgaris. So the earliest finding is capillary vasodilatation. Pustules in stratum corneum is called as Munro microabscess, and pustules in the Malpighian layer is called as spongiform pustules of George, and elongated rete ridge will be there. This appearance of elongated rete ridge is called as camel foot appearance. Next is this finding. What is the finding which is given in the picture? This finding is seen in case of Halieucoplakia, oral lichen planus, lichen sclerosus, and psoriasis. First, you have to see the picture. What they had given? You can see pits, multiple pits. So, as we all know, pitting is very common feature in case of psoriasis only. Nail psoriasis, we'll discuss few important points. Usually, the percentage of patients having nail involvement also along with skin involvement in psoriasis is between 10 to 80%. Usually, 50% of patients having skin lesion of psoriasis will have nail findings also in psoriasis. So what is the most common nail finding is nail pitching. The nature of pits, how the pits will be present. The type of, the name of the pit is called as thimble pit, and the type of pit is random, deep, irregular pit. This can be remembered with the mnemonic called as riddle pit. So apart from this pitting, other signs can also present in case of nail involvement in psoriasis. Oil drop sign or salmon patch. This is the most specific finding. If they ask what is the most common finding in case of nail psoriasis, then it's nail pitting. What is the most specific finding in case of nail psoriasis? Then it's oil drop sign or salmon patch. Oil drop sign occurs due to the onycholysis, separation of the nail plate from the nail bed, and collection of debris inside it to give an oil drop appearance. Apart from this, other findings which is seen in case of nail psoriasis is leukonychia, whitish discoloration of nail plate, suburban hyperkeratosis. This is hyperkeratosis under the nail plate in the nail bed area, and onycholysis, separation of nail bed from the nail plate from the nail bed, and splinter hemorrhages. Multiple small pinpoint hemorrhages will also be seen. So this is a onycholysis. This is oil drop sign associated with onycholysis. This is leukonychia. This is splinter hemorrhage, and this is multiple pitting. Here what you can see is proximal onycholysis is there, and this is leukonychia, and here you can see onycholysis. So this is all about the findings in case of nail psoriasis. Today we had discussed important points which are all covered in psoriasis. I hope this session is useful. Thank you.
Best training, peaceful environment, PG medical entrance exam preparation were my expectations. I got them at Speed Medical Village in Kanchipuram. Today, I am a PG topper.
Speed Medical Village, a unique eco-friendly campus dedicated for PG preparation. Speed Medical Institute, a complete solution for medical education.